Welcome back to the Carson Wagner Show. Today we're going to break down something that's completely unprecedented, which is a sitting U.S. senator being investigated by the Pentagon and possibly getting a court-martial in the near future, as well as a DOJ criminal investigation for posting a video with himself and 5 other U.S. congresspeople encouraging the military to defy Trump's orders. Mark Kelly, the Democratic senator from Arizona, retired Navy captain, he has posted that video of himself and those 5 other senators. It has the Trump administration calling for arrests, trials, and Trump even said what they did, which was sedition, is punishable or should be punishable by death. Let me walk you through exactly what happened and what the law actually says. This is the Carson Wagner Show. As always, if you like the video, please subscribe, comment, like, turn on those notifications if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen to your podcast where it's just audio or sometimes audio and video, please leave us a 5-star rating. It helps an insane amount. Every 5-star rating, every comment, every like, every time you turn on notifications, every subscribe, it boosts the algorithm a little more, and it gives us the ability to reach a wider audience. So please go do that if you have not already. As always, if you want to get emails every time I drop a new post, you can go to thecarsonwagnershow.substack.com and sign up there to get emails. And if you have any episode suggestions or any topics you want me to talk about, comments, questions, criticisms, etc., you can send them to thecarsonwagnershow@gmail.com. I will see them and I will respond to them as soon as I can. Let's roll that intro. On November 18th, 2025, 6 Democratic lawmakers with military or intelligence backgrounds posted a video on X and YouTube directly addressing service members. The 6 were Senator Mark Kelly, a retired Navy captain and astronaut who had flown 39 combat missions, Senator Alyssa Slotkin, former CIA, Representative Jason Crow, former Army Ranger, Representative Chris DeLuzio, former Navy officer, Representative Chrissy Houlihan, a former Air Force officer, and Representative Maggie Goodlander, who used to work for Navy intelligence. They put this video up on X and YouTube. Here it is. Check this out.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day.
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
Against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad.
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army.
Our Navy.
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
Our Constitution.
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Okay, so let's be crystal clear about what's actually happening here. They're telling troops that the Trump administration, the duly elected, democratically elected, legitimate government of the United States of America, whose head is the commander-in-chief of the United States military, is the enemy. They're saying that Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is the threat to the Constitution. And they're directly encouraging service members to question and refuse orders from their chain of command. You know, we have a word for that. It's called a coup. When you go to the military, when one leader in the government goes to the military and says, I don't want you obeying the other leaders or, this higher ups orders anymore. I want you to obey my orders now. You know what you call that? We call it a coup against the other leader. And this is literally a coup against Trump. This is nuts. Luckily, they're not getting away with this. as we'll see later in the episode, but this is legitimately crazy. Here's the one key question that I think I would just love to sit Alyssa Slotkin, Mark Kelly, any of these people down and ask them, what illegal orders are being given to the military? Why on earth would you tell the military this? Obviously, it's a ploy to get them to disobey Trump. But why? What illegal orders are being given to the military? I swear I would give them $1,000 if they could give me just one illegal order. Just one illegal order. There are no illegal orders that have happened. The Democrats have tried to manipulate the general populace into thinking that there are illegal things going on. There's nothing illegal going on. Okay, if you I'm not going to do it on the episode because it's lengthy and not really of importance. I can go through every single action the Trump administration has done, and I actually have done this. I've had AI go through all of the actions the Trump administration has done so far, compare them to existing U.S. code, and find if it violates any of it. There's nothing. There's literally nothing. There's nothing the Trump administration has ordered them to do. Now, I think what's being implied here is Trump's troop deployments to places like Chicago, Portland, Memphis, D.C., etc. Again, nothing illegal about those. He is 100% within his constitutional rights. I put out an episode on this not long ago. You can go back and listen to it. I did explain the legal justification a little bit more in that episode. Everything is justified. Everything is legal. Nothing the Trump administration has done so far has been illegal. But the Democrats in Congress are trying to frame it that way so that they'll have a problem to fix and something to look like they're fighting against. It's great imaging. And again, they would not be able to give me one. If I had Alyssa Slotkin sitting across from me right now and I asked her, just point blank to her face, name the illegal order the Trump administration has given, she would say, oh, okay, deploying troops to D.C. was illegal. That was wrong. That's all they shrieked about for like weeks while that was going on. There's nothing wrong or illegal about that. The president is entirely within his rights. You can read the U.S. code. It says he's allowed to do that. I don't know what law they think they're talking about, but the law of the United States is the only law that is relevant in this case. It's not the law of whatever the Democrats in Congress think or what their opinion is. The law of the United States Code, is the relevant thing right now. And the United States Code allows the president to do everything that he's done so far. Trump has ordered the military to secure our border. That's legal. He's ordered deportations of illegal immigrants. That's legal. It's not only legal, it's actually his constitutional duty. So he would be failing in his job as president if he did not deport illegal immigrants who are posing an immediate threat to the citizens of the United States. And what's more, I would just like to point out for a second, if they're so worried about illegal immigrants, why didn't they have any problem when Bill Clinton was deporting millions of illegal immigrants? You know, he deported tons. The number is insane. He deported 12.3 million illegal immigrants. The Trump administration is not, they're well within their capacity. Why were the Democrats not protesting when Bill Clinton, a Democrat president, was getting rid of all those illegals? The answer is simply that Bill Clinton was a Democrat and he wasn't Trump. Everything Trump does is by default wrong. And it's just the whole game of when our side does it, it's fine, but when your side does it, it's wrong. It's against the law and it's illegal. And they will go so far as to order the military to not obey you, or to encourage the military to not obey you. That's nuts. That's literally crazy. It's all a power play. You have to see this for what this is. This is Alyssa Slotkin, Mark Kelly, all the others, purely just reacting against Trump. They don't care about illegal orders. If they cared about legal orders, how about they start talking about Bill Clinton, who apparently, if this is illegal, then what Bill Clinton did was illegal, who deported illegal immigrants to the tune of 12.3 million of them. Okay, so there's the game here is super obvious. It's super crazy, and they're counting on people not knowing their history. They're counting on people not seeing through it so that they can maintain their seat in Congress with their comfy salary and keep putting videos out like this out on X and YouTube. Trump has ordered military readiness improvements. That's legal. That's totally legal. He's implementing the policies he was elected to implement. Every single one of those policies is a policy that was part of the Republican National Convention platform before Trump was elected. Americans elected him knowing he was going to do this. What he's doing right now is him carrying out a mandate from the people of the United States of America to improve our military, get the illegal alien criminals out of here, and do everything else that a sane president would normally do that Joe Biden did not do for 4 years because he's incompetent and he was not there mentally. So no problem. There's no problem here. But these 6 Democrats, they lost an election and they cannot handle that, okay? They cannot handle that. So they're trying to turn the military against the commander-in-chief. That is sedition. That's not defending the Constitution. That is sedition. That's a huge, 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 extremely dangerous move. And it's literally sedition against the Republic. On Monday, November 24th, the Pentagon announced that they're investigating Mark Kelly, thank God, for potential court-martial. Why Kelly specifically? Well, because he's a retired Navy captain who still receives military retirement pay. And if you still receive military retirement pay, you are still subject to military law under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is the military's equivalent to the U.S. Code. The other 5 separated from military service or they work for the CIA, but they're not under military jurisdiction. Kelly is under military jurisdiction. He's a military retiree who told active duty troops that their commander-in-chief is giving illegal orders and told them to disobey him. That is sedition, plain and simple. I don't know how it could be mistaken for anything otherwise. Then today, on November 25th, the DOJ announced that they're investigating all 6 of them under federal law. The FBI is scheduling interviews through the Capitol Police. They're being investigated under 18 U.S. Code 2387, causing insubordination and disloyalty in the armed forces. Maximum penalty is 10 years in prison. Democrats are crying out about authoritarianism and weaponization of justice. Where was this concern when they spent 4 years investigating Trump for the Russian collusion hoax that never actually happened? Where was this concern when they impeached him twice, purely based off of political motives? Where was this concern when they raided Mar-a-Lago? Men with guns raided Mar-a-Lago. Where was that concern? You cannot spend years weaponizing the FBI, the DOJ, and the intelligence community against Trump and then cry foul when there are actually consequences for undermining military discipline and loyalty to the commander-in-chief and to the United States of America. Kelly's defense is, we just reminded troops they can refuse illegal orders, which is already the law. Okay, let's examine that. First off, no one is telling troops to do illegal orders or to enact illegal orders or follow them. The Uniform Code of Military Justice already prohibits that, and every single member of the military would already know that they don't need to follow illegal orders. They don't need 6 Democrat politicians making a viral video about it unless you're implying current orders are illegal, which is, of course, exactly what they're doing. Second, Kelly claimed that he had never questioned an order in 25 years of military service. Great. So why are you telling troops now, today's troops, to question orders? What's different? Oh, right. Trump is president and you don't like it. Third, they never specify which orders are supposedly illegal. That's the game. They're planting seeds of doubt. They're undermining the command authority, and they're encouraging insubordination, but they're keeping it very vague. That's for 2 reasons. First, to claim plausible deniability, which basically means they don't have, they're like, they could just say, oh, we were just reminding the troops to not follow illegal orders. We weren't trying to undermine, the command authority, the chain of command or whatever it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. And, you can't be charged really with any sort of a crime if you sneak around it that way. Oh, we're just reminding the troops to do such and such. So there's that. There's that one side of it. The other side is simply that if it's that vague, at any point they can, if they really did want to do a coup against Trump, well, they could just say, oh, this order is legal or this order is legal. They're not specifying which orders are actually illegal. That makes cast out on all of Trump's orders for Democrat members of the United States military who don't know better. And it's not good. When someone says something like that and they're not specific, they're lying and they're manipulating you 100% of the time. This is such a serious thing to do. This is so huge and so serious that if they weren't trying to do that, if they really had your best intentions at heart and the best intentions of the country, they would do what any good journalist or investigative reporter or anyone like this does. They would give you specific instances. Oh, Order 5 was illegal. Order 6 was illegal. Order 27 was illegal. You don't have to follow those orders, and don't keep following those orders, and don't follow any future orders. That would be an honest an honest way to do it. This is not an honest way to do it. This is pure manipulation. This is pure them just lying to the American people, lying to members of the military. Fourth, the timing is really, really suspicious, obviously. Trump just won a massive electoral mandate. He's implementing his agenda. And all of a sudden, these 6, who have never needed to remind the military of this before, decide that the military needs to be warned about illegal orders. This is just political sabotage, plain and simple. And real quick, I just want to point out that I'm giving you these reasons to show you why this is so ridiculous and why it's obviously an attempt to get the military to disobey Trump's orders. In no way am I saying that there's any possibility. Let me rephrase, make that clear. I am not saying at all that there is even a shred of possibility that they're just reminding the military not to obey illegal orders. No one believes that. No one in the political world, Democrat, Republican, whatever it is, no one believes that. If they say that, they're just lying to you or they're extremely, extremely dumb. No one believes that, okay? It is obviously, it's so obvious, it's ridiculous, and it doesn't even need to be said. It's obviously trying to get the members of the military to stop carrying out Trump's orders. There's zero question about it. Like, anybody who questions that is either lying or they don't know what's going on. Just period. 100%. And of course, these members of Congress that are saying this are lying. They do know exactly what's going on. So let's also talk about who these people are. Mark Kelly is married to Gabby Giffords, who is one of the most anti-Second Amendment politicians in America. Alyssa Slotkin is former CIA, so probably deep state through and through. Jason Crow was the impeachment manager against Trump. These aren't objective defenders of the Constitution. These are partisan Democrats trying to delegitimize a president they hate because they have had Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, for a very, very long time. Here's the biggest hypocrisy. Where were these people when Obama was droning American citizens, like without trials? Where were they when Biden abandoned billions in military equipment to the Taliban? Where were they during the Afghanistan withdrawal disaster that killed 13 service members? And again, where were they when Bill Clinton was deporting 12.3 million immigrants, illegal immigrants? Crickets. Totally silent. Nothing. But Trump wants to secure the border, and suddenly they need to warn the military about illegal orders. Give me a break. Give me a break. Now, legally, can Kelly be court-martialed? Absolutely. Article 2A4 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice clearly states that military retirees receiving retirement pay remain subject to military justice. Courts have upheld this repeatedly. In 2018, in 2020, in 2022, the D.C. Circuit ruled that it is constitutional in as late as 2022. So this is totally above board. It could really, really happen. If he's court-martialed, there's no jury of his peers. It's an 8-person military panel selected by a commanding officer. The verdict does not have to be unanimous. He could lose his entire pension. He could be banned from federal employment. The last time someone was court-martialed like this was Colonel Billy Mitchell in 1925, 96 years ago. He criticized military leadership publicly and faced the consequences for doing so. Now Kelly is doing the same thing. He is undermining the military command structure. He's about to face the same consequences. And by the way, Mark Kelly is former military. He should know how important the command structure is to the military. If you undermine that, the entire thing collapses in on itself. That, above all things, must remain in place. It must remain solidified, and it must remain unquestioned if you want a working, strong, and healthy military. Mark Kelly is still trying to undermine it. Why? Well, he's trying to cause chaos, obviously, and he wants the Trump administration to turn into a dumpster fire so that years down the road, he can point back at that and use it as political points. This is the people that we're dealing with in Congress. This is the kind of people that the Democrats are in Congress, in the executive branch, and across the country with federal judges and other mayors and governors. These people literally do not care about anything but political points, power, and money. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth even called Kelly out yesterday for wearing his medals incorrectly in a response photo, saying that when Kelly gets recalled to active duty, it'll start with a uniform inspection. I mean, that's just funny. But that's the level of disrespect Kelly has for military standards while claiming to defend the same military standards. This is just the Democrat playbook on full display. They lose an election. They cannot accept this. They're not mature people. They cannot accept it. So they throw a fit. And they try to undermine the president through every institution they can. The courts, the media, the intelligence agencies, and now the military itself. Chuck Schumer called this what dictators do. No, Chuck, what dictators do is refuse to accept election results and try to turn the military against the elected government. That's exactly what you and your colleagues are doing. Kelly said he won't be silenced by bullies. Nobody's silencing you, Senator. You're being investigated for potentially breaking the law. That's not bullying. That's accountability in the form of criminal prosecution. And this is something that Democrats have avoided far too long. If I would just like to ask him, if you're being silenced, then why is your video still up on YouTube? Why is it still up on X? Why can anybody still view it? I literally found the video. It took me like it probably took me like 45 seconds. I had to find the actual short. I found the YouTube video like that, and I was able to download it right away. Nobody's silencing him. His voice is still out there on the internet, and the video is raining up, and nobody's taking it down. If you were being silenced by a tyrant, that video would be taken down. Republicans have been way too quiet on this. House Speaker Mike Johnson called it beyond the pale, but that's it. We need Republicans to stand up right now and call this what it is. It's literally an attempted coup. These people are traitors. They're literally committing sedition against the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States. These six Democrats, they're trying to fracture the chain of command. They're trying to turn our military into a political weapon against the commander-in-chief. And since those are the guys with guns, it's not like the courts. It is not like the courts. It's just a full-on coup. And that's when nations devolve into civil war and just madness, pure madness. We've seen it happen 100 times throughout history. One side is dissatisfied with the other side, so they take control of the military, seize power, kill all the other leaders, and then instate themselves as the power players. That's literally the Democrats' motive. They would have no other motive for inciting the military to disobey Trump's orders. Really, really crazy. It's insane that we have members of Congress that are willing to do this. So again, let me just be clear about what's at stake. If members of Congress can directly tell troops to question and refuse orders from the president, we don't have a military anymore. You have a political weapon, a literal, just complete breakdown of the civilian control of the military. The Constitution gives the president alone command of the armed forces. Not Nancy Pelosi, not Chuck Schumer, not Mark Kelly, the president of the United States. Democrats don't get to overturn election results by convincing troops to ignore their commander-in-chief. That's not the way it works here. We don't do that. They do that in other nations. We don't do that in America. Kelly and the other 5 are thankfully facing real consequences now. Pentagon investigation, DOJ investigation, FBI interviews, possible court-martial, possible federal charges, up to 10 years in prison, loss of pension for Mark Kelly. This is really, really serious. And it should be, because what they did is serious. They should be kicked out of Congress for this. This is completely unacceptable. They didn't remind troops of their rights. They tried to undermine presidential authority when the United States is really in crisis mode with foreign policy and a lot of stuff going on around the world. This is a time when we need military cohesion more than ever, and they are seeking to cause chaos and undermine everything. So here's the bottom line. Sum it all up. 6 Democratic lawmakers, they made a video telling troops that President Trump is a domestic threat and encouraging them to refuse orders. They didn't specify which orders are actually illegal because there are no illegal orders. They just don't like Trump's policies, and they're throwing a fit about it. Now they are under investigation by both the Pentagon and the DOJ. Kelly could be the first sitting senator court-martialed in modern American history, and Democrats are screaming about authoritarianism. You want to know what's authoritarian? Losing an election and then trying to turn the military against the winner. That's what those 6 did, and now they're facing consequences. Mark Kelly flew 39 combat missions. Good for him. That doesn't give him the right to undermine the chain of command. 20 years later as a senator, that's insane. Service in the past doesn't excuse sedition in the present. Trump won. He has an electoral mandate. He's implementing the agenda that the American people put him in office to do. And if Democrats don't like it, win the next election and get over yourselves. Don't try to sabotage military discipline in the meantime. That's all for today. These 6 Democrats chose to play stupid games, and now they're winning stupid prizes. I'll see you next time on The Carson Wagner Show.